really awesome video game.
All right, class. It's Saturday morning for me. I haven't showered yet, but I got my hair cut, so I don't think you can tell that much. But I feel like we've been through this class. We can be a little informal here at the end. I don't want to blur the lines too much, but it's like you've almost graduated. In fact, with this video, I kind of want to wrap up the course for now. I may add to it, but I wanted to say a couple things. I mean, I'm not done with you yet, because I promised to tell you everything I know that might help you to get a job as a narrative designer, game writer type person. So we're gonna do another sort of track of videos for that. But what I want to say for now to sort of wrap up this course you just took with me about this process, which again I keep saying this, but it bears repeating. It's not the only process by which you can use to tackle a narrative design. It's I believe in it. I've used it. I think it's pretty extensible and flexible, but it's probably not even the best process. But it's pretty simple, hands-on, and it's what you can use to start getting your hands dirty. And that leads me to kind of the point of this video. Your homework, if that's what it is, your final assignment is to use this process on your own to accomplish two things that are pretty related. But number one is get good at it. I regret to inform you, and you have no idea how sincere I am being. I'm 50 years old, and then the more I go through life, and the more I realize that all those old cliches about talent versus persistence and consistency are true. You get good at writing, you get good at anything else, playing an instrument, making furniture, all those analogies that we use. Practice. And the other goal is that, in getting good at this, you'll also have pieces of interactive fiction to show potential employers. You're going to help build a portfolio. You're going to get good at this, and you're going to take work that you're proud of and show it to people so you can get a job. And it's going to be great because it's going to really separate you from all the people that just really, really, really want to be a game writer, narrative designer, and love video games, that have played every video game they can get their hands on since they were a kid, and have all that passion, but nothing to show. And you're going to be someone who's like, I want to be a narrative designer, a game writer, and here's my portfolio. Here's what I've done. Here's some interactive fiction that I have written and designed. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm gonna point you to some specific tools, software with which to make it easier to write these, design and write interactive fiction. But again, the primary goal is to get pretty good at this. You will abandon this process perhaps at some point. You're going to go out there and learn from other people and other ways of doing it, and that's going to be great. Hopefully, you'll find mentors that'll really, pass on what they've learned to you. I got good at it kind of by accident. I'll tell you what happened to me. Was I was at a studio, High Voltage Software, for 5 years. Great place, gave me an opportunity. I learned a ton. But when my time there was up, I had already learned this process. So I think I mentioned this before, but it was on a project I was working for as a full-time employee at High Voltage Software, where we brought on some consultants who happened to be, and I'll do a video where I give credit, more credit to all these people, but there happened to be two ex LucasArts employees who were there during the golden age of the sort of the adventure game, and had made some of the games that I played like in high school that made me want to be a narrative designer, game writer guy type person. And they taught this process, and I learned it from them, really. And later, not too much later, but my time was up at High Voltage. I started freelancing, and I used this process that I've taught you in these videos with clients. Now, about that time, casual games were booming. At the time, most of them were still played on the PC or the Mac. That we didn't have smartphones and tablets quite yet, like we do now. And the bar for story, as always happens, the bar for story was slowly being raised. In other words, these big casual game companies and casual game publishers or casual game publishers slash developers were making casual games, story based games for casual gamers, hidden object type sort of adventure games, and they bore a lot of resemblance to the adventure games of old. The hidden object ones did, at least. So I was just, I don't know, right place, right time. They started making these sort of story based casual games, and the story was an afterthought. But after a while, this always happens, the audience for these games started, uh, demanding better storytelling. And there I was. I started getting work from the companies like Gamehouse and iWin and smaller casual game studios, publishers, and they would have the development maybe done in like Kiev or something like that. But I would be the story guy, and I started using this process. And it served me well, because these were simple games. This is a simple process. Um, and these games had short dev cycles. I don't know, maybe 6 months sometimes, and my involvement with them would be even less. And I would work on multiple projects. So if you go and look at like my IMDb page, I've got a lot of games on there, 83, 84, something like that. I'd like to make it to 100 before I die. We'll see. Um, so I got the advantage of um, working on lots of different projects in relatively short periods of time with short dev cycles, and I was using this process a lot, and I got pretty good at it. In fact, I can remember specifically working on a game called, this is years later, I'm a full-time freelance narrative designer writer, and I think might have been my first project for Ubisoft was Valiant Hearts, a game about World War One. It was done by the people at Ubisoft Montpellier, where they had done the original Rayman game and a lot of cool stuff. And there was a small dev team there of just passionate developers who saw that the 100th anniversary of World War One was coming up. In World War One, well, in America, we maybe don't um, we don't remember it the same way we do. We don't um, have as strong of a connection to that period of history as we do like World War Two. So in World War One, America kind of came in at the end. I want to say it was a 4-year war, 1914, 1918. I want to say America came maybe 1918. Um, and we didn't have as much of a presence in that war. But in Europe, it's a huge deal. I mean, it's a huge deal. And so they wanted to make this game, and they wanted to release it on the 100th anniversary, which would have been 2014. And they had some ambitious plans. And just, it's a beautiful game if you go and play it, and it's all credit to these guys in Montpellier. But they were going to do episodic. I think it was going to be like 5 episodes with 5 unique characters, their perspective of the war, following their lives through all 4 years, 1914 through 1918. So follow me here: 5 characters, 5 episodes, each episode focusing on a different character, and that character and what that character went through from 1914 all the way to 1918, and their lives would intersect. These 5 characters, their lives would intersect. In addition, of course, everything had to be tied to real world events. We couldn't, they couldn't make stuff up. You know what I mean? Everything was tied to real history. So myself and Matt Enton, someone who I often write things with, there's that, I don't know if you can see that movie poster, Lumberjack Man. He and I wrote the screenplay for that under Josh Baer's direction and Bill Mule. And we've done a lot of other stuff. Anyway, we flew out there in Montpellier, and they were just a little bit, they had all these ideas. They had all these ideas, and they had this real strong vision for what they wanted to do. And they had ideas for the story, but they were kind of lost, kind of a little stuck. And they had some content made. So in addition to all the, addition to needing to tie the story to real world events, having 5 different episodes, focusing on 5 different characters, having their lives intersect, they already had some of the game made. And we couldn't just chuck that out. No one wanted to just chuck that out. So we had to kind of design the story, right? Design each episode from beginning to end, from the end to the beginning, and keep in mind real history, and do a little bit of reverse engineering with some of the assets and gameplay that had already been created to make the story work. And it's essentially what we did. I mean, we were in a conference room with whiteboards, and we made, we had to flow chart it out visually. And it was a process. Took like a week, and it was, pretty intense every day in this conference room, figuring it out with the developers, Matt and I, and this small group of developers. And I remember thinking at the end of the week, and we had it all figured out, I remember at the end of the week feeling competent. Not that I'd never felt competent before, but I remember feeling like, man, I really feel like, maybe I'm pretty good at this. Whatever this is. Maybe it's a specific kind of narrow focus of narrative design, or maybe just good at this particular process for whatever that gets me. I don't know. I felt pretty accomplished, let's put it that way. I had this advantage of repetition. The casual game industry needing better storytelling, and I was getting paid to use this process over and over again and get better at it. And eventually I would also go and work for Telltale Games, which a lot of the ex-LucasArts people went there and founded that thing, and they were kind of using this process as well to make games, and so in a sense I'm lucky. I'm getting paid to learn, and use this process. You may not be so lucky. You may have to really make the time to design your own interactive narrative, and to do it over and over again, and to get better and better, so that you have really good work to show in your portfolio, and so that if you're interviewing, you at least have some sense of how an interactive narrative can be designed. Again, not the only process. I wouldn't go to an interview and be bragging about, learning, learning from my YouTube channel. But a lot of people do. They go to interviews, they want to be narrative designers, and they've never done it before, and they have no clue how it's done. And maybe now you do. I know the videos are rough and production values are, but I don't have a lot of time. I'm just hoping to get the knowledge out there, and hopefully you're benefiting from it. I'm rambling now, but I'm proud of you. If you finish the course, reach out, let me know, and I'll send you a certificate for your graduation, and I'll give you a high five. So that kind of winds up the narrative design process part of this course, I'm going to do a separate video track on breaking in, finding a job, building a portfolio of work you can show. And, then you're kind of, I don't know, you're on your own. We'll have some sheet cake and together, and that's it. You'll be graduated. All right. I got to take a shower, get to my dad's house for some Easter bullshit. Okay. See you soon.